NBA draft lottery happened, and this was arguably as entertaining of an outcome as you could get, given how little anticipation there was for the draft lottery. So the Hawks ended up with the first overall pick. They jumped up from nine, I believe it was, or 11-ish, something like
10.
that,
I think it
to
was 10.
10 to 1, which was a 3% chance. And fun fact, the Dallas Mavericks had a 3% chance last year to get the number one pick. So imagine the world where that happened this year and they had Victor Wembanyama, but whatever. We're living in the present. Hawks have the first pick. They're exploring trade options. What did you guys think of all that?
I mean, it was just the most random. Like of all the teams you'd expect to ever get number one pick, I was like, have they ever had this? Obviously they had like the number three pick with Luca a while ago, but it was so random. I'm like, the Hawks? Are you serious? Like I just feel bad for the Pistons, man. Like I think they've won like nine draft lotteries so far. I think they've come up twice. But like being a fifth pick. I liked how they all sent their like young guys to represent. I think it was like Scoot Henderson, Brandon Miller, Asar Thompson. So it was interesting. What about yourself, Alex?
Yeah. Pretty sure the Hawks never had the first pick, right? Like, has to be their first time, as far as I
I
can
don't know
remember.
if it's their first time, but it's definitely the first time since like 1980 or whatever. It was like something like that. Or a
Oh,
top
oh,
two
oh,
pick since
wait,
1980.
you
Maybe
think 1984? Did they get the top pick in 1984, like the Jordan draft where they drafted Wilkins?
I will do a quick fact check for you. I don't think Dominique Wilkins was the number one pick. Um yeah, no.
No,
They
wait,
have
it
not.
was.
Based on my
So,
research right now, very quickly, they have not. But I will correct it if I need to.
wait, 1994 NBA draft, Rick Rick. I gotta look at it as well.
Oh,
Uh,
1980 they had it. There we
on
go.
1980. Oh yeah, ah, no, that's true. Olajuwon won that draft.
Yep, there we go.
1980.
That is interesting. First time seeing the Hawks, a fairly mediocre franchise, just in the sense that they're never really good and they're never really bad. Even this season, they were never really good and they jumped up to number one. And this shows that the NBA draft lottery is working. That's one of my big takeaways. This is exactly what the NBA wanted. They don't want the worst team getting rewarded. And in this case, I think it's been 5+ years since the worst team in the NBA has gotten the number one pick. So this is what the NBA wanted. I'll read off the full top. We'll do the top 10 because that's where all the change happened. Like this was pretty crazy. Two teams jumped up. Number one was Atlanta Hawks, obviously. Two Wizards, three Rockets via Nets. We're gonna talk about that. Four Spurs, five Pistons, six Hornets, seven Blazers, eight Spurs via Toronto Raptors. Number nine, Memphis Grizzlies. Number 10, Utah Jazz. So yeah, that is the top 10 of this year's draft. Pretty crazy outcome. Two teams losing their picks completely within the top 10, within the top eight, really. It's just such an interesting outcome. What do you guys think of the Nets in
I,
that
I'm
James Harden giving
yeah,
up the number three pick now?
I mean, the pick would have been lost either way, right? Pretty sure. Like it was unprotected, so that there was like um a fault at Brooklyn's part because they thought that they could keep together James Harden, Durant, and Kyrie the whole time. That was the first mistake, and then the second mistake they thought that Mikal Bridges is better than Jalen Green and picks back. So it like they really just wanted to say, nah, fuck our future. So I don't know what else to say there. Like
Yeah.
that was stupid on their part. So it's obviously good for Houston. Like genuinely, if you're a Houston Rockets fan, which certainly I'm not a Houston Rockets fan, but like you gotta admire that they'll get like even more good young talent onto this team. Very interested to see which direction they go, whether they try and get a rim protector next to Şengün, or if they try and grab a future point guard, something like that. Because I think their wing spots are pretty tightened up so far with Jabari, Tari, Cam Whitmore, Amon Thompson, Dylan Brooks. So there's too much going on their rings for me to say that they go after someone like that.
There's so much young talent there. It's
Exactly.
like they've been in the top 5 since the Thunder started the rebuild. They've always had a top 5 pick. Some top 4, they've had Jalen Green was number 2, Jabari Smith was number 3, um, who is last year? Amen Thompson was number 4, am I
Yeah.
correct? And then the year before that, before all this, Jalen Green.
Yeah.
Brother, if you are not putting together a championship contender with all that
Yeah,
top 5
like
draft
they got
picks,
so many top 4 picks, it's actually crazy. Like
yeah,
they're really getting rewarded quite a lot currently. But I mean, it's not their fault that the Nets gave them that pick. Like, so
yeah, absolutely.
I'm not to blame the Houston Rockets for landing the number 3 pick. Like I'm blaming the Brooklyn Nets for thinking that they thought that they don't need their future. But
Yeah,
anyways,
it just
uh,
shows in the NBA you never know what happens. If you sign
yeah,
for Kevin Durant and you're like, oh, we'll trade away our future, and then you come back, it just bites you in the ass. Like, there's no direction with the Brooklyn Nets at the moment. See what they do this offseason.
yeah,
But we don't want it to go back to that mediocre team that it has been for a long time. Is
yeah,
there any
definitely.
other jumps that surprised you, Alex? Or because I think within this draft, obviously last year there was a lot of hype in the draft lottery because we knew Victor Wembanyama existed, but because the number
Yeah.
one isn't, it's not. Well, no one's truly sure. Like no one's gonna put their 100%. Like no one's gonna put their house on a number one pick. Put it that way. You could do that last year. You could probably put a whole estate on Victor Wembanyama being the number one pick last year. But I would probably not put a piece of cutlery on whoever the number one pick will be. But do the Hawks keep the pick, Alex, or do they take Zachary Richer?
They're going to take the pick. Like in my opinion, they should probably trade DeJounte Murray. Like I've seen a lot of Trae Young trades, but someone like Trae Young, who is an all-star and as young as he is, like he still fits the timeline. You don't get someone like him again, in my opinion, especially not in this draft. So personally, I'd probably trade DeJounte Murray, who in my opinion didn't never really fit the Atlanta Hawks way. So uh, just try and get some damage repairs back in return. Like you're not going to get the full price back for him, but at least like some solid role players. Maybe someone like Bruce Brown could be interesting. Like especially since he's only on a 1 year contract, so that would open up some cap space for them again in the future. And otherwise, yeah, if they keep the pick, which I really hope they should do, they should definitely take Alex Sarr because someone like Clint Capella shouldn't be a starting center in the league anymore. Like he's past his prime. I'm sorry to say that, but uh, I,
Graves.
I think Alex Sarr makes too much sense for the Hawks at this point because imagine like Trae Young, Jalen Johnson, and Alex Sarr, like if all of them can stay healthy again and I mean, Trae Young is probably going to be more motivated if DeJounte Murray is out of Atlanta again to because he's the main ball hawk there again, to say it like that. So I think Atlanta would be going in a good direction again.
True. You don't think running it back is a good option though? You think they have to make some kind of decision here?
I feel like they have to like they have too many like uh, what's it called like they got too many we say Baustellen in Germany. How do you say in English? Uh, construction sites, right? Like they,
Yep.
they have too much maintenance going on this team. Like they have to find a new center and they have to make that uh Trae Young, DeJounte Murray to kind of work, but it doesn't really work because they're bad defensively together and they can't share the ball
Yeah.
together because they don't run off ball for one another. So one of the two has to go, and I'm definitely going to keep the more talented player there and try to get someone back as a role player. And then you can start Bogey, in my opinion, like Bogdanovic. next to Trae
Yeah,
Young.
he's a
I
good
think that
NBA
makes
player.
sense. Jalen Johnson on Okongwu, and then Alex Sarr. Like
Alex,
that's a good starting five. Like you could go up from there. Plus, if you get Bruce Brown back, like that's a playoff contender right there. Back again.
Yeah, I don't know if trading DeJounte for Bruce Brown would be it. I definitely think they will do something though. Just because
Yeah.
that taste of how they lost in the play-in was so bad. And I know Trae Young was injured, but half the game on offense when he didn't have the ball, he was just standing around the hash mark. And it's just like, what are we doing here? And then when he had the ball, he was trying to do things, but obviously he had his hand injury, so he wasn't playing as good, all that stuff.
Yeah, no,
Um,
exactly.
it'll be interesting to see what they do. I guess,
Yeah.
do you want to touch on some other teams? Like, I guess the Rockets, Spurs, Wizards,
yeah,
Spurs especially, they have two lottery picks. That's going to be interesting to see what happens.
yeah. I
Yeah.
feel like
Also,
in 38 episodes, this is the most we've ever talked about the Atlanta Hawks, which is kind of
yeah,
insane.
yeah, exactly.
The most big team in NBA history.
No,
Hey,
I think
you
we're
know what, Matt?
putting
That's what
Nets.
happens when you get, yeah, that's what happens when you get the number one pick. And you want to touch on the Nets, Matt? And the number three overall pick that they will not be selecting with, that they
We did
earned
kind of
but don't.
go. We did kind of talk through a bit of that, but I
Okay.
just feel bad for the Pistons, man. I mean, like, obviously, don't be
Do
bad
you, yeah.
is
Yeah.
like the thing, but when you go on the worst losing streak in NBA history and get rewarded the fifth pick, that
Oof.
sucks.
Yeah, that definitely
It
stinks.
sucks.
That really sucks.
Especially when they don't have other draft assets too. Like they just have their draft pick and let me see the second round, see like if they have at least someone else's draft pick. Yeah, no, nothing. They don't do they even have their own pick in the second round? It doesn't look like it. Yeah, they traded it away to the Toronto Raptors. So the Raptors have the 31st pick. And the only draft asset that the Pistons have is number 5. And they were the worst team in the NBA. Like that is very rough, if you ask me. With that being said, we're just gonna wrap up here. Be sure to like, comment down below. What teams are you surprised to see move up, move down? What teams are you laughing at? What teams are you feeling bad for? And yeah, subscribe, like, share this video with a friend. Appreciate all the love and support, and take care, everyone.